What if I told you that your smartphone could actually mimic autism-like symptoms in toddlers? And no, we are not talking about real autism. This is something experts are calling virtual autism. And studies show warning signs can appear at as early as 18 months. So what is virtual autism? Is it real? Is it dangerous? And could something as simple as handing a phone to your child during lunch, car ride, really change how their brain develops? Stick around because in the next few minutes, we'll break down what virtual autism really is. Real life scenarios where it often begins, the science behind it, and how to spot a warning sign early, and a simple realistic framework to reverse it. So what is virtual autism? By definition, virtual autism describes autism-like symptoms in toddlers and preschoolers caused by excessive screen exposure, especially between 0 to 3 years, especially when the brain development is at its peak. What is the key difference in real autism and autism? Well, real autism is neurodevelopmental with genetic and neurological causes. This is mostly genetic, whereas virtual autism is more environmental and often reversible with reduced screen exposure and increased real-life interaction. What do you mean by that? I'm going to explain you in the entire video. So what is the status about virtual autism? As per DSM-5, they do not recognize as a disorder. But pediatricians, child psychologists, developmental researchers are actually raising red flags around autism-like symptoms with the phone. So how does it happen? Research shows it often starts in everyday parenting. For example, mealtime distraction. Your child refuses to eat. The phone with cartoons becomes his magic spoon. Over time, the child focuses on the screen instead of tasting, chewing, or interacting with the family. Car rides. Oh, interesting, isn't it? When the child is crying in a car, you simply hand over the tablet. The ride becomes screen time instead of an opportunity to have conversations, listening to the songs, pointing things outside to learn. Third, public places. At restaurants, malls, waiting rooms, phone becomes the quickest fix for parents to avoid tantrums. I know we are all social animals, but that does not mean you give the phone to quieten the child. It works in the moment, but it cuts out patience building real-world observation in a child's brain. Instead of outdoor play or a family chat, first words of a child are mama phone. Slowly, creative play and social skills take a back seat. Are you a parent who is actually experiencing these small things? These are not small things. These are going to be volcanic eruptions in the future. Stay with me because I'm going to explain with you the third section, which is the science behind it. Do you know that early brain growth thrives on eye contact, facial expressions, touch, voice, tone, and imaginative play? But do you know what actually screens do? A passive screen consumption removes these essential nutrients from the brain development. And for that, we have research. A French study on children between 18 to 40 months who had autism-like symptoms actually reversed these symptoms within months by reducing the screen time and replacing it with human interaction. Basically, day-to-day interaction. Just remove the phone and the child will be talking to you like any other human does. Also, it was shown that exposure to children who are 12 months old leads to high link with delayed language and social skills. Also, as per Houghton in 2022, excessive screen use is linked to thinner brain cortex in the regions tied especially with critical thinking. Now, our brain's first portion, because our brain is very big, the first part is the prefrontal cortex. This is the portion which gets exposed first to the child. And here is the prefrontal cortex. And mind you, researchers are talking about thinner cortex, thinner brain cortex. Whereas when we do not have a phone, we have a bigger periphery and we have got a bigger mass to observe. So a child is watching objects and he's curious to learn things. Whereas when you're giving massive simulation early in life, the child is restricted to this small screen, which is again not developing a child's brain in the way you want. So what are the warning signs? Let me explain that to you as well with the clues and some examples. So for example, if your child is 12 months to 18 months old, your child will rarely make an eye contact. You will call name and they are playing and they keep staring at the screen without even responding to what your instructions are. They do not respond to their name. For example, if I called Rahul, they won't turn. But if you played their favorite cartoon or there is a sound of their favorite cartoon, they will instantly react. By the age of 18 to 24 months, let's say your child is 18 to 24 months, you will realize that he has delayed speech. In a birthday party, other kids will say mama, ball or bye, but your child is only pointing and crying. He has not developed words. They prefer screen over people. Grandparent is trying to talk to them, but they are pushing away them and they are grabbing the phones instead. Basically, even humans are getting replaced by these meager phones. By the age of 2 to 3 years, repetitive movements like hand flapping, spinning, rocking, babbling, these are some of the symptoms which you will feel. For example, when a child is excited or upset, they will flap their hands like this, spin in circles, and instead of speaking, they will have intense meltdowns. For example, child is playing with his tablet and you take away the tablet from them during the dinner time. They will immediately scream, cry. And in some cases, even I've heard stories where they're biting, even hurting the other person with their nails. And the moment you're giving the tablet, they're calm. Don't you think that this is hypnotic and some kind of a black magic which this simple device is trying to do with us? Don't worry. Now I've got a very simple framework. This framework is going to talk about mainly observation, because the first step is observe. For 1 week, track your child's digital habits. If your child is using an Android phone, there is a feature in your phone called the digital well-being. This will give you the screen time and the app usage. For iOS users, go to settings and there is something called the screen time, which will give you detailed reports. You can also discover the child, what exactly does he or she watches. For example, your child may be watching 3 hours of cartoon and only spending 20 minutes talking to real people. Step 2, replace. Replace with what? Replace with realistic swaps. Small, consistent swaps work better than complete ban. Start with half meal with phone and half without. Replace videos with background playlist of the favorite songs which they normally listen to, but without visuals. In a car, you can keep a car activity bag like snacks, squishy toys or magnetic drawing board. For example, we'll watch after we pass the big red light or when we are crossing this flyover. This cuts the screen time by half, and that too without a fight. Normally, for preschoolers or children who are coming from school, swap the first 10 minutes of the cartoon with a fun challenge. Can you build the tallest Lego tower before I finish making the snacks? This will ensure that the child is getting the first interaction with something playful and engaging instead of a digital screen. Step number 3, which is track changes. ChatGPT bedtime stories and use ChatGPT to create custom-made stories featuring their favorite characters, but with a positive behavior twist. Let's say you give a prompt that write me a short bedtime story for a 4-year-old who loves Cocomelon, and in the story, JJ learns to sleep early and eats dinner without a phone and discovers this gives him superpower, super energy the next morning. This way, the character they adore models exact habits you want them to encourage, which is related to your value system also. And last but not the least, try using something called app timers or iOS setting apps where you can actually limit or restrict their data time. You can also restrict the data time by setting your Wi-Fi router and cut the internet for your kids. You can actually limit their internet usage. I have pinned the video in the link how to restrict the internet usage during night. This will ensure that none of the family members are using internet, and trust me, it's a very good habit. This will also allow the child to sleep on time, getting early on time, which actually you want yourself also to be disciplined at the end of the day. And there's one more thing which is called the board games, because board games also work because you have got 3 to 4 people and a board game can actually create more stimulation and an opportunity to think better. And this gives you an opportunity to have real interactions, utilize imagination, quick thinking, logical brain development, and so many other things. Are you also using board games? Because don't go with that typical puzzle games, because puzzle games are not board games. For me, board games are interaction with 1 or more people. This will allow to form more words to your vocabulary or the child's vocabulary. After 2 to 4 weeks, you will see in the digital well-being app that the screen time has dropped from 8 hours, 10 hours to 3 hours to 4 hours. You can also see signs like your child is looking more and having more eye contact. They have more speech than babbling. They are slowly joining the social play without any tantrums. A digital world isn't going anywhere, but how we introduce it to our children will shape their social, emotional, and brain development for life. Don't use quick fixes because you have a lot of stress, because a small stress today with a replacement of phone can cause you a bigger stress later in your life, because eventually your child will throw tantrums and And do you want an overgrown child who is throwing tantrums like a little baby, or do you want a fully functional, better, or you can say a mature child for life who holds your hand and who is responsible for the society? Thank you for watching this video. Share this with someone who really needs to listen to this.